Hi, welcome to my channel. For today's video, I'm going to be doing a book haul. So all the books I'm going to be sharing today are books that I have purchased basically all throughout 2023, like since January. I had actually planned to film this video weeks ago and I just never sat down to do it. So a lot of these books I have already talked about or I've already read. So because of that, I was almost not going to do this video at all because I felt like it was just pointless talking about a bunch of books that I have already talked about and shown on this channel. But I had been already planning it for weeks and I figured why not? I'm just going to be showing all the books that I've purchased so far this year. They've all been purchased at different times, whether I used like gift cards from Christmas or I just went to the bookstore or I had already read the book and I wanted a physical copy of it. For a lot of these books I did do that, like I read them on my Kindle and then I bought a physical copy of them too. So yeah, let's just get into the video. So earlier this year I started reading the ACOTAR series, so obviously these were the first books that I got. I normally am like the type of person that wants to buy the entire series, but I didn't do that with this series just because I wasn't sure how I'd feel about it because it's fantasy and I'm not really a huge fantasy reader. But I read this book and I liked it, so I continued on with the series. So then shortly after that I got the second one, which is A Court of Mist and Fury. I loved this book. It's my favorite so far in the series. And then at the same time when I got that one, I also decided to go ahead and get the third one, which is A Court of Wings and Ruin. And then shortly after that I did end up buying the fourth one, which is A Court of Frost and Starlight. I recently read this one back in February. And then of course I also got A Court of Silver Flames, which at this point that I'm filming this I have not read it yet. I'm planning to read it hopefully at some point in March, so I'll be getting to this one very soon, hopefully. The next book is another one that I have already talked about. I made a whole video for it, but it was Final Offer by Lauren Asher. I did a reading vlog for this. This is the third book in the Dreamland Billionaire series, so obviously I needed to get it to complete my collection of this series because I have the first two. Unfortunately, this one does not match the first two, which I don't really like. It's the same height, which is good, but the spines are different and it annoys me, and like the font is different on the cover. I'm trying to just get past it and ignore it. I mean, I just ignore it when it's on my shelf, but it does bother me that they don't match. But yeah, I went and bought this one like the day it came out. I was so excited to start it, so I went to Barnes & Noble on its release date and I picked up a copy of it. And then that same day while I was at Barnes & Noble, I picked up a copy of Icebreaker by Hannah Grace. I read this book back in October of 2022 and I liked it. I thought it was really cute. It was an enjoyable book. I wasn't planning to buy a physical copy of it, but then it got removed from Kindle Unlimited, and so because of that I felt like I needed a physical copy of it. So I was at the bookstore and they had it on display at the table, and it was actually out a little bit earlier than it was supposed to be, so I just decided to pick up a copy of it because I wanted it on my shelf. It's different from the indie version though, so I like the indie version more because it has a pink spine, but I guess this one is fine because once the other books come out it'll match the other ones. But yeah, this is my next book from my haul. Again, a book I already had read but just wanted a copy of. The next book that I got was Do I Know You by Emily Wibberley and Austin Sigmund Broca. So this is a new book that I obviously have not really talked about on my channel yet. I think I've briefly mentioned it before, but it follows a married couple. It's like a second chance type story, or it's like a marriage in trouble trope, I guess, which I really love that trope. So I've been excited for this one, but I haven't been seeing good things about it. Like I feel like everyone who's read it so far has not really enjoyed this book, so I'm kind of nervous about that, but I still want to read it and see how it goes. I'm not sure if there's an audiobook for this one. I would assume that there is, so I'll probably like listen to it. The next book that I got was The Right Move by Liz Tomford, which again, I have already read this one. I've talked about it. This is one of my favorite books now. It's my top read of the year. I'm obsessed with it. I love it so much. I bought a physical copy of it like the day of its release, but I did read this one on my Kindle. Also, I am obsessed with like city skyline covers. That's my favorite type of cover. I needed to have this on my shelf. I think it's really pretty too. I really love this cover a lot. Like I said, I love the city skyline, and then I also really love like the colors on it. It's just so pretty. I love it. And it matches the Mile High cover, which I also have behind me on my shelf. So yeah, I just obviously wanted a physical copy of it because I knew I was excited to read it, and then also I just ended up loving it. So even if I hadn't had a physical copy of it when I read it, I would have bought one anyway. But yeah, if you haven't read this book, please go read it because it's amazing and I love it. And then the next book I bought was Wild Ever After by Rebecca Genshak, and this one is also part of a series. I had already read the first two books in the series, so I knew I wanted a physical copy of this one because I own the first two books, and I just like having the complete series on my shelf. So I've actually already read this one too, and it's a marriage of convenience, hockey romance. I didn't really love this book, but I did buy the physical copy like before reading it. Like this one was one that I read it after I had a copy of the book. It's also not on Kindle Unlimited, and I bought that one at the same time as The Right Move. Like I placed an order and got those two books, and then I also got my next book with those, which was In a Jam by Kate Canterbury. I have not read this one yet, but I did put it on my March TBR, so I have kind of briefly talked about it. This one's also Marriage of Convenience, and I think it has like a single dad and it's like small town, but I've heard that this one is so good. I feel like everyone I've seen reading it just absolutely loves it, so I'm really hoping that's the case with me too. I'm so excited for this book. Like I said, I put it on my March TBR, so I'm planning to hopefully read it very soon. So the next book is Powerless by Elsie Silver. This is the third book in the Chestnut Spring series, and the first book is Flawless, which I read last summer, and then the second book is Heartless, which I actually just read at the end of February. And so this book actually just came out in February, so I've been really excited for it. I've heard it's really good, and I've really loved this series so far, so I have high hopes for this one. I'm definitely hoping to read it soon. I bought book 2 like back in October and I put it off until now, so I'm hoping that I won't do the same with this one. Like, I definitely plan to read it soon. I know that this one is a like childhood friends to lovers story, and he's a hockey player and she's about to get married, and then she runs away from her wedding, and that's about all I know about it. I feel like a lot of people really love this series and say that with each book it just gets better, and I've really been enjoying it so far. I love the characters. I love like the whole small town aspect of it and everything, so I'm excited to get to this one soon. And then the next book is Offside by Avery Keelan. This one is a hockey romance. I have talked about it before. This was on my February TBR, but I didn't own a copy of it until recently, so I decided to buy a physical copy because I love hockey sports romance and I just like having them on my shelf. I like the look of them, like all the blue. Like, I have some back here behind me that are hockey romance, like, and they're all blue, you know, like the spines. I'm actually currently reading it, and let's just say like if I didn't buy a physical copy of it, I probably wouldn't have bought one because I'm not really enjoying it, but I'll talk more about it in my March wrap-up, obviously. So then after that, the next book that I got was Restore Me by J.L. Seegers. This is another one that I have talked about. I think this one was on my March TBR, but it follows a woman whose husband passed away, and then it's a romance between her and the husband's best friend. So I've heard that this book is amazing. I feel like a lot of people really like it. I'm excited for it. It used to have a different cover, so this is like a special edition cover, which again, I said about the City Skylines, I will always buy covers with City Skylines. I just really liked the cover and I wanted a physical copy of it, and I've just heard that this book is really good, so I can't wait to get to it. I'm hoping to get to it very soon because like I said, it is on my March TBR, and it's just a book that I feel like I'm gonna really enjoy, so I have high hopes for it. The next book is another one I've already read, and that's Hail Mary by Candy Steiner. I read this book back in February. This is the fourth book in the series. I do have books 2 and 3, so I just wanted to own a physical copy of the fourth one too, but I did actually like this one. Like, it was a cute book. I enjoyed it. It's a college football sports romance, and it's also kind of like a second chance a little bit in a way, so I enjoyed it. I liked the series, so I bought a copy of this one too. The next book that I got was First Down by Grace Riley. Again, I talked about this book before because this one, I think I put it on my March TBR, but it's another college football romance. I think it's also like fake dating and she tutors him. I feel like this seems like it's gonna be a good book, hopefully. This is also part of a series, and I feel like I've been seeing a lot of people talk about book 2, so I definitely want to read book 2, but I'm gonna obviously start with book 1, which is this one. But yeah, I'm excited for it. I'm gonna hopefully get to it very soon because I just feel like I'll enjoy this book, hopefully. And then the last book is one that I have actually not talked about at all, I don't think, but it's Playing Hard to Get by Monica Murphy. I think this is like basically the exact same tropes of the last book I just mentioned because it's another college football romance. I don't think that this one is fake dating though, but it is one where she tutors him and obviously they start to fall for each other. It might be fake dating. No, I don't think it is. Anyway, I feel like this one is going to be a good book, hopefully. I like the idea of it, the tropes, the storyline. I know it's like the same basic thing that I always see in books, and I feel like I've read this trope a lot, but I always enjoy it, so I'm excited for it. I've almost downloaded it on Kindle Unlimited a few times, and I just haven't gotten to it yet. I don't know, I feel like I'm gonna like this one, so I'm hoping I can get to it soon. But anyway, that is it for this video. That is my book haul from the past couple months. Again, I know it was a little bit repetitive because a lot of these books, I have talked about them before, and they're books that I have already read. But yeah, let me know any of your thoughts if you have read any of these books, and if you liked this and you're new to my channel, I would love it if you would subscribe, and thank you so much for watching.